Yeah. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Hi. How are you doing? Good. Good. Okay. Well, welcome to College Liberal Arts Faculty Colloquium Speaking Series. My name is Aristide Ursek, and I'm coordinator of the speaking series for the next year or so. Before I introduce our wonderful speaker, let me say a few words about logistics. If we have any of the students who would like to earn extra credit or partial credit for the course, please see me after the presentation. And then we ask speakers to present between 30, 45, 50 minutes, and then we have it in a few minutes for questions and answers. So please hold your questions to the end. So today's wonderful speaker is Dr. Joseph Uduehi. He's an associate professor of art education and has been the coordinator of the art education program at the University of Southern Indiana since 1999. He teaches courses in art education, introduction to visual arts, and has coordinated the Saturday art workshop for children since 1999. The art workshop for children has provided art experiences for 2,000 children since the inception. Dr. Uduehi received his Bachelor's of Arts in Painting from Nigeria, Master's of Arts in Art Education and Cinematography in 1984, and his Doctorate in Art Education in 1993 from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. He recently presented a paper on colorblindness in Oxford, UK, just this past summer, 2019, and he currently has a copyright for his visual art resource. So today's presentation is on colorblindness, a visual art resource. So please welcome Dr.
Thank you. I also appreciate everybody being here. It's a Friday afternoon, and I know that about a few years ago, I was in the committee that started the colloquium. I can't remember how many years now. I was just telling her that I've been here for 20 years. It was started, and I remember then we were thinking of, do we do it on a Friday, on a Monday or Tuesday? So Friday became the actual date. So that's why we have it on Friday afternoon. So I appreciate everybody being here. I know it would be better being outside tanning, but since we are here, so I appreciate you. And I'm going to start. I will have about 30 to 35 or 40 minutes. Everything I'm going to be talking about is from this book or this manuscript. So I'm going to bring that to a 30 minutes presentation. I want to start by saying thank you one person here in particular. That is Chuck Armstrong. That is Chuck Armstrong there. He helped me in doing the graphics. So, but don't blame him for any graphics here because it was my final choice. So, but I appreciate him very well. I also appreciate the university for giving me money, support, especially the deans, many deans who have been here, and the provost and the president. They've all been very, very helpful in making sure that I advance in getting this done. And I'm going to be talking about an issue which at least we may most likely know something about. I was talking with somebody a few minutes ago. He said, no, I don't know anything about color blindness. I said, you may be. So he said, the next time I see my doctor, I will check. I said, that will be fine. But I am not going to be talking about medical issues. I'm going to be talking about things relating to the visuals. Please, I'm not a medical person. I'm going to be talking about issues relating to the visuals. This is just a summary of what I will be talking about. I'll be talking about issues relating to my research. I will also be talking about issues relating to how I came about it. And I'll be talking about issues on what I found out the visual resource. And I'll be talking about what the resource can help us do. So this is just an abstract. You may not go over that, but I always want to make a presentation. Now, this whole thing started from my classroom, working with 2 art education students who happened to be colorblind. There was the incident that happened. One of the classmates said something that the other classmate said, yes, I'm colorblind. And the other one was making fun of him and said, you have started what I experienced in high school, where when people knew I was colorblind, they laughed at me, and so many things happened. To the point that different projects that they did in the visual arts did not match the assignment because they could not see the colors they wanted them to do. Many of you here know the students, if you are from the visual arts. So I am not going to mention the names. So they were in art education. So that kind of spurred my interest. What is colorblind? Since my research is basically on empirical issues, what is being colorblind like? So I did my reading, my research, and I found out that basically they are those who have issues. When you look at this, some people see this as this, some people see this as this. You notice I'm not mentioning the colors because they see the colors differently. So I said, okay, that's an issue. I know that, I hope that I'm not colorblind myself. But I also noticed that there were issues that one should go into. So most of what I read had to do with medical issues. So I said, this is not my field. My field is the visual arts. How do I get away from the medical issues where they were talking about the eyes, the cornea, and the rest? So I almost wanted to stop, I said, because it has nothing to do with the visual arts. I could not find any useful, any article from the visual arts point of view about color blindness. In the meantime, the medical field talks so much about color blindness relating to visual arts and color. So I thought maybe I wasn't doing enough research. So I did more into it. Only one person I found did something from the visual arts, which happened to be a primary school teacher. Actually, 2 of them. One of the ways they thought they could help would be to have kids help the other kids to identify this or to identify that after they know that that child is colorblind. And you know what kids can do. They will make fun of the person. So most of the kids wouldn't want to say they are colorblind, or they didn't even know that they were colorblind. Then I read about other tools. There were tools. One said they would put some hole in your brain and find out what you think about color. That didn't work. One said we could give you some medication. That didn't work. The other one said they could teach you the colors by somebody helping you point it out. Hopefully the next time you would do it. That didn't work. Until recently, there is this enchrom glasses, which if you Google that, is one that you just wear and you could see the colors. But unfortunately, if I wear that and I stay here, where there's no light, one of the elements of art, the colors will change. So it has to be a consistent place where you have enough light for the glasses to work. But I would say that is the closest that we have come from the scientific point of view. Now, I went through other tools where they talk about so many things, but this happens to be the only one that I would say is helpful. So I said, okay, what is colorblind? It's visual. The common type we talk about is the red, which you see as this. Or you see the green, which you see as this. The thing is that for most of us who are adults, we have accommodated, we have adapted to the situation. So I wanted to see from the kids' point of view, from the art education point of view, because that happens to be my field, because that's where the problem starts. From my literature review, which I went through, some of the reasons from the medical point of view why certain kids don't want to say they are colorblind because they bully them. And when they bully them, they fight. When they fight, you know what we do to those who fight in school. They give them medication and the rest of it. But I didn't want to go through that. Because if I do that, then I will have to go to medical school to bring a solution. So we have those two types. Then we have the third type, which is not as common, from blue, and that is what they will see. But the fourth type, which is the extreme one, they see everything in black or white. So if you show them this, they will see it in black or white. And fortunately or unfortunately, most of them are not aware what they are seeing. Let me just give you a simple statistics. 1 out of 10 male Caucasians are colorblind or is colorblind. 1 out of 10. So if you're a male Caucasian here, most likely one person is colorblind. Then I had to go through other research, the human experiences. There's a quarterback now who is colorblind. He's playing football. We have a senator who is colorblind. He's there. We also have some pilots who are colorblind, which resulted in this plane crash. There's a medical doctor in town here who is colorblind. He cannot see red. He sees them as green. Then we also had some issues even with the press, where if they show a football game and one team is wearing red and the other team is wearing green, doesn't go well. And that happened in the World Cup games, which is here. A World Cup game 2018. Fans had to write to the station. Those of us who are colorblind are seeing the same thing, which is the home game, which is the away game. So the point here is that we have the human experiences which we are not even addressing, like most of us would. Again, I'm not a medical person, I'm just a visual arts person. So while we have the plane crash, we have the classroom experiences, we have the social experiences, The issue I wanted to look at was how can the visual arts change things or assist in changing things. I was looking for a language, the language of communication. We know that we communicate in using words. Red color, blue color, green color. Okay, this is the way I see it, Joseph, this is green. The way I see it, Joseph, this is red. But to somebody who is colorblind, doesn't see that. A universal language that I found out when I went to the Olympic to do the research was the use of numerical numbers. Everybody understood, even if it's written in French, Russian, or whatever, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everywhere I went, if you wanted to enter a venue, they will say, this is gate 1. Nobody wrote it in English, nobody wrote it in Chinese or anything. It was 1, 2, 0, 2, 5. So everybody understood that. So that is the basis of my using numbers instead of words. How do we change the words? It doesn't mean you strike off the words, but you use numbers. And I also wanted to deal with the issue of values from light to dark. So if I have this here, this is lighter to the very dark. Remember that I'm doing this for those who are colorblind. So they may not see the actual colors like you see, but if you change these to values from light to dark, and you use the numbers as you increase the numbers is darker, the lesser one lighter, maybe that would be a language they will understand. And so that's where I came with my method. My method being that we have a spectrum that we use, which I will show you after that. I wanted to work on the color spectrum, which we get from the rainbow or the one we use in the classroom. How do we change that and make it work as it is here? So I worked on that. Then I also worked on the issue of values, and I worked on the use of how to use arithmetic number in assisting that. So that's where I brought out the 3 things I wanted to achieve. Rearranging the color spectrum, comparing primary, secondary colors to neutral colors with 8 grayscale values, and using numbers to identify colors and values. So those are the 3 pointers or 3 benchmarks or 3 issues I wanted to address. So this is what I came up with. This is the normal rainbow spectrum, which we normally have. What I now did, I took up the red, placed it here, put up the purple or violet, I put that here, then I have this. Then I added the neutral color, white and black. So that becomes, or became, the color spectrum which I have. These are issues that I just wrote there to explain that. Then I wanted to line that with the values from light to very dark, from black to very light. Okay, now if you photocopy this on the photocopy machine, this is what you will have. If you don't photocopy it, then that would be this color. Then I said, okay, then the next step is to, since we know this is white and this is black, the white, since it will be 0, and the black will be 7. Now I'm staying within the primary colors and the secondary colors, because for we visual artists, every other color will be right there from the primary to the secondary. Okay, and so that will give me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It stops there. Then in black, in values, that will be that. Then I said, okay, how do you expand that? The expansion is, this is the main. When it's lighter, you do it as minus. When it's darker, you do it as plus. So if I'm going to tell somebody, give me the orange, which is 2. If I say 2 plus 1, I'm saying it should be 1 point darker. 2 plus 2, it should be 2 points darker. 2 plus 3, it will be 3 points darker. So also the minuses. Now, these are very basic colors that somebody can use to talk to a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, or a 9-year-old. Okay, then I said, okay, how do we use this? I now carry out an experiment with peripheral from USI. I went through all the processes. So I have 6 to 14-year-olds who I actually administered this to. The first thing I did was that I gave them the pre-test. I asked them to be able to use the tool and number it out. So if I gave this to the kids, having told them the numbers of the color, they were able to identify it as white, black, violet, green, and the rest of it, which is a simple tool. And I got 100% passing grade. So they all understood it. Now, these are kids who are not colorblind. I didn't want to know if they were colorblind because I just wanted to use it and see if that age group can use the tool. Then it's called a teacher's. It's called a teacher's version because teachers will be able to use it. Again, I'm speaking from the arts education point of view. So what I also did was that, how do we have a chart where 6-year-old to 14-year-old can say white eggshell is a 0. Yellow banana is 1. That is that, and the rest of it. So this will be a quick chart which we can use in the classroom. Now, let me give you a small scenario where this is helpful. If I told a child in the school, go home, come back to school tomorrow with a green t-shirt, and the child goes home and comes back with this, without the help of this, where I would say the parents should know that green is 3. That child will be able to identify it by numbers rather than by color. Because that mother or that child, with the tool I have, with the resource, each of the clothes will be numbered with by numbers. Now, the child is not able to identify things visually by color, but the child will be able to identify things by numbers because that is a universal language. Again, I'm talking from the point of view as an art educator. If you are teaching in a multicultural classroom, say somewhere in Princeton, where you have children from all over the world, 3/4 or half of the kids there are colorblind, or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 are colorblind, and you tell them to bring a green shirt or a green what? That child will go home, if the mother is not there, the child will bring something red. But if it's done by numbers, that child will be able to identify it by the number and come to school with the right number. How is that done? Simple. Just label your stuff by numbers. That child will be able to identify it by numbers. Now, also, with this, from my literature review, if you have ever gone to a traffic light, it's red, yellow, and green. When you have the green, it says go, right? When you have the red, it says stop. colorblind students from my literature review have had many accidents. So a common way to approach that is to just put numbers instead of the colors, especially when you turn the traffic light horizontally. Vertically, it could be okay, but when it's done the other way in a state like Texas, that is a problem. Okay, so this will be what you can use every time for the kids to identify. Then there are other things that we can do in addition to what I have done, which is, the first one is to test the child first. Sorry for the spelling, this is British. They use the U. You have to test the kids to know whether they are colorblind, but not by the teachers. It should be done by the parents. And if the child is colorblind, then you could tell the teachers, and the teachers would take steps in helping the kids. Then the second thing is to be able to use the chart. So the teacher is talking in terms of numbers and name and words, rather than just talking red, green, and the rest of it. Now, this should be taught to all the kids, not only to the colorblind kids. So there's now a cross communication. So when I say, hey, give me the red, or give me the green stuff, I can say the number 1, green. So that child understands what is going on. So before I say thank you, I would like to say that if you have further questions about this, I would like to hear more, because this is just the start of what I'm doing. I have presented this, like I said, in Oxford. I'm having 2 or 3 corporations who are interested, one in particular, to expand it. I'm going to be expanding it in my classroom, other areas, even in the area of math, where they use red bricks or red cubes. This will help. And also remember that I'm talking specifically about kids, 6 to 7-year-old. Adults, they are used to identifying the colors. But with kids who need to get some help in identifying color, this chart will be very helpful. Thank you. Thank you.
Questions?
When I did this presentation in Oxford, I had people from Australia, Pakistan, and the rest of it. There were questions that they asked, very helpful. And there were issues that they also raised, how I could expand it, very helpful. But some of them talk about some medical issues. I said, no, I'm not going to talk about medical issues, because the medical issues mean that I have to go to medical school and talk the grammar and the rest of it. I said, no, my main focus is about changing the language we use in the visual arts to identify colors, especially for for kids. Not for the adults, but mainly for kids. Because there's a cross correlation between kids not identifying colors, rebelling against the system, and being put on medication to correct the behavior that they have. Are you getting my point? And with that, the side effect of the medication to correct the behavior pass or grows in them, and when they become adults. Again, I'm not a medical person. This is what I read, and that is not my point. But just assume that we have something to stop that or to help that child, and that child is able to identify colors and doesn't have the issue of not identifying colors and being bullied. Maybe that child may be able to avoid the use of medication. Yes.
So you said with the testing, you're looking at like 6 and 7-year-olds. Why not 4 and 5 when they're preschool, kindergarten?
Because the population I got was mainly 6 and 7 from the art workshop.
Okay.
That was the population I had, and I had to write for permission to use them, which I did, and so they responded. So that's why I did that. And against 4 and 5, especially that age, I think it will be helpful, but I only have the 6 and 14-year-olds. Yes.
So you developed this for the classroom. Would it just rely on teachers to have home support at home, or kind of changing?
It will.
Would there be community, like parent education?
Exactly. It will be, again, I always want to, each time I talk about this, I say I will talk from the point of view as art educator. Parents will have to be involved in getting this done by giving them the chart, by educating them on the issue of this number is for this color and this number is for this color. So when you are writing to the parents, I want your kid to wear the green shirt or the red shirt, you just put the number. And so even when the parents are not home, the shirt can be identified by the number, not by the color. And that child knows that I'm picking the 1 and 2 or 3 color. And that's most likely will solve the issue. And teachers should also not say green, black or something. They should also add numbers to it, and that will help the child. Especially, we do that to the blind. Most doors have something braille you could use. We help the handicapped. And by the way, it's part of the law of the United States to help even those who are colorblind. Especially if we know that 1 out of 10 individuals, male, are colorblind. Female too are colorblind. Dark-skinned people too are colorblind, but the percentage is very low.
I do have perhaps maybe a silly question. But for example, whenever I see black, number 3, and if I wouldn't have a comparison, I may not be, or how easy it is for individuals to identify the color if you don't have the comparisons next to it.
Anything that is dark, most likely, if I see it, I'm not sure I understood your question, but let me try. If you see something that is black, and I have a black shirt to a child, then I can say, bring the 7 black shirt. It's a language that you are trying to pass on to the child to be able to identify the object that is black without using the word black, but use the word 7.
Right.
So it is not a conclusive, concrete communication tool, but it will go 1 more step or 2 in helping those who have issues differentiating colors by words. Black is very easy because colorblind people will see black as black. But then if it's close to black, that's some way you can expand this. I didn't bring the other chart where you expand them. So those are issues we could work on. But we are narrowing now just for kids who are 6 and 14 or 4 to be able to identify the primary colors, secondary colors, and appreciate them by using numbers. Yes?
This is just an observation, but I see what you mean. For me, it's a little more difficult on the value scale to tell between a black 2 and a black 3 or a black 4 and a black 5. But looking at that, thinking if I was completely colorblind, as some individuals are, where they're only seeing black and white, I think you were saying that on a copy machine, the top with the colors is the same as the value scale on the bottom and on a black and white copier. So it just seems like it gives me a little bit of insight on how difficult it must be to navigate if you don't actually, my husband's colorblind.
Okay.
So it's helpful kind of for me to look at that value chart and think, those are hard to tell apart. And I can see why he struggles
So if you wanted to say, what you want to give now is not the black, you want this, which you see as this, because you want it to match. All you have to say is something within that scale. Now, if you take off the color and you see things in black and white, that will also help. Because I have no idea of what they actually see. We have no idea of what the colorblind person actually sees. What we know is that when they make a mistake, we know it. They say, "Duh, that is not that color," because you are able to see it, but they are not able to see it. So if there's a project where they only see in black and white, and you have this scale here, they have no idea of this, and you want them to use 3. All you have to say is let them use the 3, and that will help. Now, for others like your husband, you can help, and you will not laugh at him and the rest of it. But just imagine a small kid, and they are doing math, and the math teacher says, "I want you to bring this shade or this color to add it to this color," and the answer is this, and that child is lost. And that child will make a wrong calculation and get the wrong answer. That child doesn't know, and that child is wondering, "I thought I'm right, why am I wrong? I thought I'm right, why am I wrong?" And everybody's laughing. This is a young child. From the art education point of view, we have failed that child, and that is where we should help.
Any other questions?
It's not a question. If this project made me think about Microsoft has a design department called inclusive design. So they design a telescope for those colorblind people through this telescope. They can look at the fall season. Like I think there's one national park has beautiful fall season, but those colorblind in their whole life they never experienced that. So the local, I forgot which city, they built this telescope
Yes,
and then crack their vision. So
yes,
in their life, first time they be able to use this telescope to see the real color. As real as possible. It's not like what we see, but it's better for them in their life to experience the beautiful fall color. So I think that is another way how people don't have this ability to see the real color. That was a very touching story. The video on the if you Google Microsoft
yes,
exclusive design and one of their case studies.
yes. I even had other issues when I was doing research. You could use your iPad, put the apps, and each time you go around, it will tell you the color. Can you imagine somebody, a child going around in school, looking for colors with iPad, and everybody laughing, he is colorblind, and everybody's laughing. That works. They even have one, which I said at the beginning, which you wear. You wear it, you could see the colors, but when there's a change in lighting, it changes in color. Can you imagine a child going around wearing that in school? And people say, "Oh, he's at it again. He's colorblind." And that becomes an issue. Rather, we should behave like Japan. Japan is the only country in the whole world where the issue of colorblind and where they started handling the problem. I was reading, I don't know how far it is true. I would like to visit and see how they have been able to resolve the problem. They have resolved the problem of colorblindness because the society is now made to cater for the colorblind. Just like the United States will cater for the handicapped, if you're on a wheelchair or if you are blind. Japan, they have done that. It's expensive. This could be a one step. So yeah, there are tools you can use, but you don't want to wear a label walking around. 6 to 14-year-old, come on. That becomes a laughing stage for the kids to use. He's wearing it again. but rather we can help them by changing the language they can use to communicate, and we can also use to communicate with them.
Any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for wonderful presentation. I know we don't have cookies or refreshments.
Yeah, I was wondering too.
Apologize about that due to the budget issue, but we do have a certificate of appreciation
Oh.
for a presenter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.